Hello. Have you ever had this happen to you? You log into AWS, you see an S3 bucket, and you think, who created this? What is this doing here? What does it do? Or here's another common scenario. Your CFO or your boss comes and says, our AWS bill is really high. Who's spending all this money? Can you give me a breakdown of AWS costs by project? Luckily, with AWS Tags, you can really answer these questions easily and help better manage your AWS infrastructure. Hello, my name is Jurwat Utiatya, and I am the DevOps practice lead at Rocket Insights, a part of DEPT. And this talk is best practices for Terraform AWS Tags. Now, there are accompanying blog posts about this talk. So if you want to click on it and follow along, you can. Obviously, you can't click through the web. So you could just search for Terraform AWS Tags. And we are the first Google link for that search results. So you can see here, here's our article at our Rocket Insights blog. But if you just search for Terraform AWS Tags, you can see there, we're the first link after HashiCorp. And if you search on Bing, you get the same result. It's the first link on Bing too, for anyone who uses Bing. So the key idea here is that in 30 minutes, you can learn how to better manage your AWS infrastructure with just 10 lines of Terraform configuration. There are 3 key sections to this talk. One is just a quick introduction of AWS Tags for people who may not be familiar with it, and some of the things you can do with AWS Tags to help better manage your infrastructure. The second part is the meat of this talk, using the new feature Terraform default tags to automatically tag everything that Terraform touches in your AWS infrastructure. And the third is, like any software, right? There's going to be little bugs, issues, things like that, little quirks. So some workarounds when you're trying to use AWS default tags, so that way you're not really frustrated when you try to actually put this into production. All right, so quick intro. What are AWS tags? AWS tags are key value labels that you can put on AWS resources to describe what they are and what they do. Now, instead of talking about it, let's actually look at the AWS console. So you can see here, this is a bad example bucket. If you look at here, you're thinking, well, what is this? Who created this, right? You can see here tags. There's no information about what this does or who created it, who should we bill. Now, here's a good example bucket. If you look at properties right there, you can see, oh, okay, the owner is Jurwat. The project is jurwat.com, right? It's a lot easier to go to Jurwat and say, hey, what's this bucket doing? And a couple of things you could do once you tag these resources, right? So this alone is valuable information for any SRE or DevOps engineer who happens to be poking in AWS and trying to figure out what's going on. Now, with AWS resource groups, you can catalog and group project AWS resources by tags and manage them all as one shot, right? So if you had a bunch of EC2s that had the same tag and project ID, you can use these resource groups to manage them in one bucket. there's also this tag editor, which when this came out was one of the best features for tags in a long time. With AWS Tag Editor, you can search for everything with the same tag all in one shot, in one place, right? So let's say I want owner. And here's another cool thing. AWS, if you give it 24 hours, this dropdown will populate with all the tags that you're currently using. So you can see here, I'm going to go owner. And it'll actually populate with all the known values too. So it's really nice. Give me in AWS East all the supported resource types that has owner, Sherwat Utiaya. You click on search resources here, and bang, you can see there DNS, Route 53, S3 bucket. You can even search for things that don't have tags by just not putting any tags here. So you can see tags are optional. It's good to see what has tags and what doesn't. The other cool feature is if you click on this little blue button, you'll see all the tags that are on this resource without having actually to go to that resource. From here, you could even add tags if you wanted to, but you don't want to add tags manually, right? You want to use Terraform. A final thing is billing, right? So if you go to billing and you go to cost allocation tags, you can pick what tags you want to show up in your detailed billing. And if you go to billing preferences, detailed here, this detailed bill will have the tags in the CSV file. You can also use this cost and usage report to create a report that has tags in it. So that's just a brief overview of what AWS Tags can do for you. This is not a AWS talk, right? This is a HashiCorp Terraform talk. So this is just a brief overview of what tags can do. It can help you figure out what resources are. It can help you manage resources by grouping them in tags. And it can help you understand the billing by project. And these are the tags when Rocket Insights comes in to consult on a project. These are the 10 minimum tags that we recommend. And if you go to the blog post, you could have a better explanation of what these tags mean and how we use them. Now, AWS Terraform default tags. So in Terraform 0.12.31 and AWS provider version 3.38.0, HashiCorp introduced this great new feature called default tags. And what default tags does is with just 10 lines or less of configuration, you can automatically tag every resource that Terraform creates and touches. It's a really great feature, and Terraform, for the most part, did a really great job with it. So instead of talking about it, let's look at some code. So you can see here in provider, all you have to do is add default tag to your AWS provider. And that's it. For the most part, these tags, when you rerun Terraform apply, will automatically get added to almost every AWS resource that Terraform creates. That's it. Just 10 lines or less of code, and you got tags for pretty much everything. It's really nice. Default tags right there. Now, the good thing is that you don't really have to change any of your Terraform code to use this. If you create resources, it'll automatically tag the resource. And even if you use modules, it will automatically add it to the module without you having to do anything, right? So it's It's really nice. Now, sometimes you're going to want to have alternate tags, right? One of the scenarios is that S3 objects. So with S3 objects, it can only support a maximum of 10 tags. So if your default tags have more than 10 tags, then Terraform is going to cause an error when you Terraform apply. So what you do is you create alternate tags. So you can see here, alias, alt tags. You can name that whatever you want. And you can have alternate default tags for this alt tag, right? You could, this could be like S3 object tags. And the way you pass it along is just say provider, AWS alt tags. So make this alt tags match that name. And this resource will use these alternate default tags instead of this one in the default provider. And if you're using modules, exact same thing. All you have to do is use provider, AWS alt tags, and voila, it works. One thing is that this is Terraform TF1 code. Now, if you want to look at Terraform 012 code, which is very similar but has some subtle differences, if you go to our blog article, you can see here, there are GitHub examples for all this stuff. So you could download this, follow along, use them as real concrete examples. Now, if you are adding this default tags to existing Terraform code, you probably already have existing tags that are attached to resources. And the good news is that the AWS default tags will easily work with existing tags that are already there. So what it does is the default tags is the base, and anything that are specifically tied into resource tags will either overwrite what's in the default tag, or it'll add it if it's not already there. So as an example, you can see here, the default tag is owner and project. And if you already have tags that have project on it, this project will override the project label on the default tags. And like this cost center, because it wasn't in the default tags, it will add it. The nice thing about the Terraform is the Terraform plan, my favorite feature of Terraform. There's this new label called tags all, and it will show you what the merge tag will look like once you add both the default tags and any existing tags. So this is a nice way to see what you'll get at the end. Same thing with modules. So if a module already has tags associated with it, it'll do the same merge, automatic merge, and show tags all. So that is a nice feature for the default tags to work with existing Terraform code that you already have. And it works the way you would pretty much expect. So just to a quick recap of what we talked about. One, adding default tags is really easy. 10 lines or less of code on the provider, and you pretty much have tags on all your existing resources. And it will work with the stuff that you already have. It will automatically tag resources and modules. Now, if you need to override the tags, you also can do alternate tags. So really nice feature. Now let's talk about some bugs on these default tags. So the first bug that you may encounter when you try to roll this into production is the exactly identical tag. And the exactly identical tag is when your default tags and the tags that you have on your resources match exactly. So let's take a look at that example. So here you have the exactly identical bug. You can see here the default tags is owner Rocket Insights, project A. But this DynamoDB resource has the exact same tag as the default tags right there. And when Terraform sees this, it throws an error. And the error looks something like this. Tags are identical with the default tags, and you can't apply. So the workaround is really easy. All you have to do is just delete the identical tags on your resource so that it doesn't match the default tags. And that's it. The default tags will put the tags in where you deleted it. So really simple, just delete the duplicate tags. Now, another bug that we have is the partial identical bugs, where you have the tags that are not an exact match, but there's a partial match. So you can see here, you have the default tags, owner, Rocket Insights, project A. But you can see there you have owner, Rocket Insights, project A, but you also have this additional one, cost center, right? So it's a superset of the default tags. These two match, and you have an additional one. Well, the problem there is that every time you run a Terraform apply or a Terraform plan, you will get the tags have changed. So you'll get a change in your Terraform plan when you haven't changed anything. And it's really annoying, especially when you're trying to figure out what really changed. So let's just use a quick example here. So you can see here, it's saying, hey, I want to change the tags, even though nothing changed, right? So let's just do a quick apply. Okay, applied. Now you want to run apply again, haven't changed anything. It's going to keep saying, hey, we want to change these two tags, even though you haven't changed an iota of Terraform code. And you can keep running this over and over, and you'll get these false positives about changes. So what's the workaround? The workaround is just to delete the duplicate tags. The tags are duplicated with the identical tags. So if you look at workaround here, you can see there, you just got to delete the duplicate tags. So, there's especially if you have a existing Terraform code base, there may be tweaks that you have to do in order to work around some of these bugs, but it's definitely worth it at the end. The one great thing by going with default tags is that you can have all your tags managed in one place instead of going to each resource and individually tagging them. So it's a nice way to have less duplicate code, and it's a nice way to just point at one file and just manage it there. So even though there are some annoying workarounds, it's definitely worth it in the long run to go with the default tags version of this. Now let's look at some additional workarounds with auto scaling groups and some additional workaround with EC2 volumes, which is something that we all create. And again, if you go to the GitHub examples, you can follow along and actually download the code. Now, the way you can access default tags is with this data source, right? So once you define the default tags in the provider, if you put this in your Terraform code, you can access any individual key value pair of those default tags. As the example here, this example is saying only create this environment if the environment tag is prod, right? Data, default tags, provider. This thing you could name whatever you want. Tags, environment. And this environment tag is the key up here. So that's how you can access individual tags if you need to. Now with ASGs, we have to do a little bit of a different dance. So with ASGs, you have this thing called propagate at launch true. And you need to put this into your ASG tags so that anything that the ASG creates will automatically get these tags. So what you have to do is access the default tags through this data source. Then do a for each loop through these tags and create these tags individually. So it'll kind of look like that. Now, the other good thing is that if you need to override any of these default tags, you can just define the tags up here, right? If you need to add tags or you need to override them, you can see here, I put in name for the ASG as this default tags ASG EC2. So it'll merge this along with the default tags to create all the tags that you want. Now, same thing with launch templates. So with launch templates, you have this tag specification, right? So what does launch templates create? They create instances and they create volumes. So what you have to do is you have to use the tag specification in order for any resources created by launch templates to get the tags. And here, all the instances created by this launch template will get the default tags. Same thing with the volumes here. So each EC2 has a disk volume associated with it. And if you look at any production environment, you'll see a lot of these things aren't tagged at all. And you can see here tag specification volumes. And we are going to use the default tags. And here I use the Terraform function merge to merge any new tags I want to add to the default tags, any tags I want to override with the default tags, and merge it into one thing. So you can see here, this is an example of how to override or how to add tags in addition to the default tags. Now, same thing with EC2 volumes, right? So if you're not using ASGs and you're not using launch templates and you're just doing a plain EC2, see there, default tags in the provider. You get to the default tags with data. Then in the EC2 AWS instance, for the volumes, you have to specify volume tags as these default tags. If you do not do that, your EC2 instance will have the tags, but the associated elastic volumes will not get any tags at all. So it's hard to associate, oh, this volume is associated with this instance without having to do a lot of click through and correlation. So let's recap some of the workarounds we talked about. One, exactly identical bugs. If your provider and your resource have the same exact tags, Terraform is going to choke on that. So you have to remove the duplicate tags in your resource. Second workaround is the partially identical tags, where the tags on your resource partially matches what is in the default tags, right? It's a superset of the default tags. So again, the workaround is you have to remove the duplicate tags in the individual resources, or else you're going to keep getting this annoying plan refresh, false positive of plan changes over and over. And finally, with ASGs and EC2 volumes and launch templates, all of these already have their kind of specific quirks on how to tag. So that's nothing new, right? That's something that's already been how AWS defines how these tags are defined. So in order to work around and in order for default tags to work with these resources, you have to do special things along with it. The main idea is that you would get the default tags using the data source to either loop through it, access individual keys, plug it into where you need it to be. So we've gone through a lot of information pretty quickly during this talk. So let's just do a quick recap of some of the main takeaways. One, AWS Tags can help you understand your infrastructure better. Who owns what project is using what resources, and how much is it costing to use these resources on AWS. Terraform default tags feature can easily help you to tag all your AWS resources in one place with just 10 lines of configuration or less. So it's really nice to do that. And there are definitely bugs and workarounds to using the AWS default tags, but ultimately it's worth the effort. And without the bugs and workarounds, right, we wouldn't have DevOps and SRE jobs. So we'll take that as a positive. So thank you very much for joining me at HashiTalks 2022 about best practices for AWS Terraform tags. And if you want to get in touch with me, my name is Jurwat Utiatya. I am the DevOps practice lead at Rocket Insights, and my email is jurwat.utiatya@rocketinsights.com. And I am also on Twitter as Java Jurwat. So thank you very much. And if you have any further Q&A, I'll be on the chat. So have a great rest of your day and the rest of your conference. Thank you.